All right, hello, and welcome to What Was That Radio's What Was Short, episode 3. My name is John Williams, and the guests this week are Tim and Craig from Australian band Loser. Now, there's a conversation with, and these are chats that can go up to 3 hours with creators that have galvanized my flipping soul. What Was Short, however, is all said and done in 10 minutes. Mike Battle, one of my best friends and the podcast editor, choosing his favourite little nugget of awesome. And then in turn, maybe it inspires you to dive into these creators' workings. This is a really powerful chat with Tim and Craig. And in this 10 minutes, What Was Short, we're going to see Craig addressing his OCD and also the fickle rise and nature of social media and how in turn, is it leading us forward? Is it stalling us? What's the effect it's having on people? Because in my eyes and his eyes, it ain't always positive. Here's What Was Short with Loser. And if you're here on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I would appreciate tenfold if it brings you some positive energy. Maybe a like, subscribe, or a share.
One thing that's shaped me is not only have I been blessed to have a good family and good friends around me, I've had some big struggles over the last 10 years that I don't really want to go into too specifically, but they involve loss and mental health issues around OCD. But the one thing I think I've been lucky enough to have good family and friends, so I've never felt afraid to try and fail. And so I think the things that have shaped me most have been making heaps of mistakes and then just get like dusting off, throwing a high five and just getting back on it. And I think that's like in a world where there's so much technology and everything looks perfect, I'm finding a lot of young people are so afraid to look stupid or not perfect because everything they're comparing themselves to is so perfect. They're stunting growth. And I really feel like the amount of mistakes I've made has made me feel more fearless about trying new things and being more genuine. Because, you know, part of being authentic is it's just your confidence within yourself. And I think when you've just made that many errors and you've just kept going, you kind of feel a bit more bulletproof. And so you can just stand your ground and be okay that other people are comparing themselves. And you're like, no, man, I'm just going to be me. So I think, you know, that's 10 years of life experience that you have to carry with you. And I just feel grateful for that and that I've had good people to bounce off along the way.
And so, Craig, what are some things that you felt that you've armed yourself with for those difficult moments where you might fall into a negative mindset or negative narrative building? For me, I like to note things down. And by that, I note down everything awesome, every silly, cheesy joke from a hangout or something silly someone said I overheard somewhere or a great something, anything and everything awesome. And I drink a shit ton of tea too.
Right on. Yeah, I think probably so early on when I had clinical OCD, which I still have. You can't get rid of it, you just manage it. But obviously that's just anxiety manifesting in that form. You know, it could be anything. So it's basically anxiety. But one of the things I learned was to go in the brain gym and build character that way. So it was like, in order to, you know, I don't want to go too far into this if no one's interested, but
I'm always interested. The most important thing is your comfortability. I'll listen to it. I'm game for it. Cool. I've had a lot of horrible shit happen and we could get dark, but I mean, so you go with what you want to go into and your comfort always, Craig.
Alrighty. Beautiful. So when the OCD was really bad, it was one of those things where everything felt dangerous. So it's like, if I don't put my left shoe on before my right shoe, my mum's going to die. Or this is going to happen or whatever. And it sounds pretty wild out loud, but you know what it's like internally when you have that pang of anxiety. It feels completely real in the moment. And the best way to get through that was to confront those fears and sit with them. And the more you do that, the littler ones fall away and you just focus on the big ones. So, you know, you just keep basically every day and everything you do is rooted in the anxiety. So it's like every time I touch a doorknob, every time I wash my hands, whatever. So every decision you make is based on a fear trigger, and you need to offset that by doing a ritual or something like that. And so basically to get through it, you have to confront things constantly that induce fear and sit with them. So it's like, okay, if I don't put my left shoe on, my mum's going to die and I'm going to feel responsible that I did that. But what I have to do is not put my left shoe on first. And it sounds silly and like it's not that hard or whatever, but in the moment, it's pretty wild. And so it's okay, I'll put my right shoe on first and sit there and just freak about that I've killed my mum until that feeling goes away. And then it'll come back when you remember. And then you just wait and let it go away again. And then it's basically like every time you confront a fear and sit with it, you don't actually do anything. I don't try to stop being afraid. I don't try to do anything. Just sit there and go, well, that's fucked. And you wait and it goes away. And then the next time it's not as hard. It's like every time it slowly goes down like that till the point where you're just chucking on your shoes and getting on with it. And so by starting with small things like my shoes or whatever it is, the light switch, you then start to build that muscle. And then when you start doing other things that might be fear inducing, like doing an interview or talking publicly or starting a new podcast, you start to recognize the fear trigger as just that. And then so you go, okay, rather than be like, how do I live my life so I'm never afraid of things? You then become comfortable with the fear because it's not fear inducing anymore. It's just something you notice. So it's like, I don't want to start a Patreon because everyone's going to think I'm a wanker. And then you go, all right, well, I'll just sit with that for a minute. And then you go, well, I'm going to start it anyway. You know what I mean? And you don't, if it doesn't work out, so what? I'll delete my Patreon. You know what I mean? But it's like, if you let it all get in your head, like I'm sure all three of us know all about it. I mean, Tim and I have discussed this a lot. It will then become more powerful than it actually is. So like the biggest thing was just sitting with discomfort to the point where it becomes comfortable, because no feeling good or bad can ever last. And the issue with I've found is trying to cling to either of them. It's not that you don't enjoy a good feeling or a bad feeling, but it's when you try to keep a good feeling longer than it's meant to stay, or you try to fight off a negative feeling because you don't want to experience it, when you just realize they all just come and go. And that's the muscle that you keep squeezing. You know what I mean? It's the pause button. And so I just try to practice that as much as I can. And then it starts to flow on and become a natural response to things. The first thing I do now is wait and let whatever's going to happen rather than react. And it's just like, that's the best thing that's ever happened to me, I think. And that came from a negative experience of OCD, but now you can apply that to anything. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm taking it back to bands and social media. Like you can see when that guy, Gary V, you were talking about, when he does,
damn
like,
it, you said his name.
That. Sorry, that guy, Gary V. Like, we could go through right now every band, local band's social media page, and we can pinpoint the exact moment they watch one of his videos, and you can see their next 6 pieces of content where they were like, oh, I got to do more, blah blah blah, and then a week later they feel like they haven't achieved what he has in a week. They start feeling worse about themselves, blah blah blah, and then they just go back to their normal self-loathing cycle. Why can't I be as popular as this guy or whatever? When what everyone needs to do is watch that video, if it comes into their sphere, sit there and go, when you get that pang, that's like, I need to do something. Because the whole point of his video is you need to do stuff. You need to do this. You need to do that. Everyone just got to like feel that and be like, okay, I feel the need to do something, but I don't know. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. You know, it's nice to have this new information and maybe I can glean something from him about confidence, or maybe he said something relevant, but I don't need to feel this instantaneous pull to act. And I think that is what everyone's phone is doing. Everyone's phone is saying, act now, do this, or you're going to miss out or whatever. And the more you can flex that muscle of like, don't act, you know what I mean? Just be real, do what you love. If you find something that you love to do, like I want to go write a song with Tim, act. But don't see someone else announcing a tour and be like, I need to announce a tour. I need to get on that. Why wasn't I on this festival? It's like, whoa. That's not why you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like you didn't start this radio show, which I consider to be your band. You know, if we're talking in analogies, like you didn't start your band to be Patreon guy. You started it to connect with other people and put put together a pedestal for bands and music that you love because you love to talk about it with other people. And it's like, all you got to do is keep remembering that and doing it. And all the other stuff, what you watch a million videos and have other guests that tell you, you should do this, you should do that. Well, this is a perfect example. It's like, all you need to do is just do what you're doing for ages and it'll be awesome.
Thank you. The eloquency of that share was extremely powerful. I'll be frank with you. I was considering rearranging this interview just due to how anxious my day was. And it's not that I never have any nerves in conversing. I've got no nerves in talking about that at all. I'm an open book. Transparency is utterly key. My angle, so that you both understand, was that I felt it would be a disservice to you two if I wasn't ready to go like I was yesterday. But you can't be every day. Craig, what you've just shared, I could thank you 10,000 times for, and it wouldn't lose power fucking once. Let me make that very clear. Such a flipping powerful conversation was had with those two, Tim and Craig of Loser. If you want to dive into that, go to whatwasthatradio.com/podcast to check out the full conversation. Otherwise, just thank you so flipping much for being here. And whatever you're doing the rest of your day, and as always, please look after yourself. And I hope there's some fun and smiles involved in the rest of it too, because we've got to cherish that positive. For now, cheerio.